Rorikstead, a small, seemingly unassuming place situated in the vast tundra of Whiterun Hold at the border to the highlands of the Reach. It has all the qualities of a serene village with several households, a manor, and an inn for the occasional weary traveler. At first sight, there is nothing unusual about Rorikstead, but as with many locations in Tamriel, there is more to it than meets the eye. From the odd behavior of Joanne, the local healer, to unexplained rare Daedric literature that can only be found in two places in the entire game, more specifically the Arcanium in the College of Winterhold and, shockingly enough, Rorik's Manor, soul gems lying about in certain households, soil which is unnaturally fertile for the inhospitable tundra, and a hut containing a dead man not far from the village, Rorikstead reeks of cut content, and possibly a cut Daedric quest. However, none of these inexplicable occurrences are going to be our focus today. Drem Yol Lok, Zur is Valbo, and welcome to my study. Here today we're going to turn our attention to one of this elusive village's inhabitants, who, much like the place she lives in, is an enduring mystery, namely Sissel. We will toy with the possibilities of this little girl potentially having the soul of a dragon, of her being a seer and even a dove in the flesh or, well, scales, deliberately taking an interest in her. Without further ado, let us focus on the inked pieces of parchment where I have documented my research. Sissel is a young girl who lives with her father, Lemkil, and her sister, Brit. Her mother passed away, giving birth to her and her twin, which seems to be the main reason why Lemkil holds an evident grudge against his daughters, often expressing his dislike for his children in dialogue with the Dovahkiin or with the other residents of Rorikstead.
I spend every day tending the fields, and what do my daughters do? Nothing! Complain and caterwaul, sleep and eat, useless! Curse my good-for-nothing daughters. My wife was twice the woman they'll ever grow to be. She gave her life birthing them. A waste. Do yourself a favor and don't have children. They're good for nothing at all.
Good day, Lambkin. I saw some nice dresses here with the girls while I was in Whiterun. Happy to purchase them.
We don't need your charity, Brett. My girls deserve something nice. It'll be their father who buys it.
He is a cruel, unyielding man who has no qualms about beating his children, and it is no wonder that his name is an anagram for Kill Me. Sissel's sister, Brit, takes after her father and is also prone to physically and mentally abusing her twin, as we see and hear in these instances.
We're gonna get it, Sissel! Why? What did I do? I told you to weed the garden by sunset, and you didn't do it. Now you're in big trouble. Papa told you to do that, not me. Now leave me alone. Look at you. You're as filthy as a pig in a pen. I am not. You're lying. You smell like a pig's pen, too. What a stink. Have you been rolling in the dirt all day? You're a liar. I won't listen to you. Leave me alone. If you beat up my sister, Sissel, I won't tell. Are you new around here? You should go to the inn if you need a place to stay. Sissel thinks she's so special. No way she's more special than me. I'm the older sister, by nearly 5 minutes. Sissel's barely worthy to walk in my shadow.
In fact, there is apparently a cut dialogue between the Dovahkiin and Sissel, where she will thank the Dragonborn for killing her sister and pay him or her money. Unfortunately, I could not get this to trigger. Not for lack of trying, though. I did witness some extremely cursed sights in the process. However, there are multiple reports of this occurrence. I will leave the sources below. Despite all of the abuse Sissel suffers, she appears to be an overall kind, curious girl with affinity for magic. Nothing out of the ordinary, right? Indeed. Until she says this.
I had a dream that there was a good dragon. He was old and gray, but he wasn't scary.
The first time I heard this line of dialogue all those years ago, I did a double take. Why in Oblivion is an unknown girl from a village in the middle of nowhere having dreams, or rather visions, of an old friendly dragon? I think it is clear that the Dova in question is no other than Paarthurnax, whose existence nobody, save for the Greybeards, the two remaining blades who won't remain for long, Alduin and likely several other Dovahe are aware of. Certainly, his name is mentioned in the tablets on the way to High Hrothgar, but I highly doubt the pilgrims suspect he resides at the Monaven, meditating on Rotmulage, words of power. But I digress. While there are other dragons known for surviving until the 4th era, none of them match the description given to us by Sissel better than Paarthurnax. For one, Dove don't age. They are eternal and everlasting, which makes Paarthurnax a special case. There are theories as to why he shows signs of great age, or has wounds that appear to refuse to heal like they should, considering he is an immortal, age-rig being, but these are perhaps better saved for a different video. If we follow Sissel around, we will also uncover that she is taking magical lessons from Joanne, although the exchanges between them during their sessions seem slightly strange. Take a look.
Joanne?
Yes, child?
I was just wondering, the next time we meet, do you think maybe you could teach me some fire magic? Nothing dangerous. Maybe a candle lighting spell?
By the 8, keep your voice down. Do you want the entire village to learn our secrets?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to upset you.
Shh, shh. It's fine, child. It's fine. But we must be cautious, What we do, the things I teach you, the others wouldn't understand.
I understand. I'm sorry. I just get so excited thinking about it. So, can we do some fire magic?
Most certainly not. But perhaps I can teach you how to put some candles out. We'll start there.
Ooh, wonderful! I can't wait!
Today, I'll teach you a useful spell that might just save your life. If you should ever fall into a river, you'll be very glad you learned it.
Oh, are you gonna teach me how to turn into a mud crab?
Oh, it's much better than that. I will teach you how to breathe underwater, with no need to turn into one of those ugly creatures.
Wow! Then I could dive into a river and swim so far away that Britta and Father could never find me.
Now clear your mind and breathe deeply. Good concentration is very important for spellcasting.
As you can see and hear, he is apprehensive, very vocally so, of teaching her even the mildest forms of destruction magic, and seems more interested in showing her spells that fall under the alteration school, such as water breathing. Something I also deem important to mention is that his specialization lies in restoration, which is a perfectly valid school of magic, by the way, and yet he does not appear to be teaching her any healing magic. And why does Joanne seem to be almost afraid to show her how to cast destruction spells, even something as elementary as lighting a candle? Does she carry great arcane power within herself that she does not know how to control? We have certainly seen examples of spells going wrong in Skyrim, and the dire consequences that follow when they do. While I cannot blame Joanne for being cautious, I cannot help but wonder if there is more to his reaction. Magic on Nirn and beyond is much more than only reading a tome and casting a spell. I wouldn't be taken aback if veteran mages could sense raw magical power within individuals inclined towards the arcane arts. But what could enhance Sissel's power so? As mentioned before, there are several theories about Sissel's abilities. Her line of dialogue referring to her dreams of Paarthurnax is the sole reason for any and all speculations regarding this little girl, and each of them has some merit and evidence that backs it up. Whichever is closest to the truth is left up to our interpretation. Let us begin. Morach now Mindach. The first and most popular theory is that Sissel is an undiscovered Dragonborn. Aside from having visions of an ancient Dova, she is obviously a promising student of the arcane with a seemingly inborn talent for magic. Magic is as natural as breathing to a dragon, for their very essence, their very voice is arcane. Shouting is considered an extremely powerful form of magic that is associated with Dove, dragonkind, Sonake or dragon priests, and Dovahkiin, Dragonborn. While not all Dragonborn emperors were necessarily practicing mages, all of them carried arcane power within themselves, directly gifted to them by Akatosh, as evidenced by the Amulet of Kings that could only be worn by those with Sosedov, dragon blood coursing through their veins. Moreover, the fires in the Temple of the One in the Imperial City are extinguished as soon as the Emperor, the current wearer of the amulet and bearer of Akatosh's gift, perishes, and leaves no apparent heirs behind to give the amulet to. When Uriel Septim VII died, Myrna's Dagon and the mythic Dawn were able to open numerous Oblivion gates across the land of Cyrodiil, and the Daedric Prince of Destruction himself managed to claw his way into the realm of Mundus, and would have succeeded in his plan to dominate it if not for Martin Septim's sacrifice. Going further back in time, Saint Alessia, the first recorded Dragonborn, with the actual first being Mirak, who existed long before she was born, and first Empress of Cyrodiil, received visions from Akatosh and was able to unite and lead the Needs against the Aelids, thus establishing both the Aedric pantheon and the Empire. What these examples serve to prove is that everyone who carries power associated with the dragon god of time and his children appears to have a strong affinity for magic, oftentimes directly connected to either Akatosh himself or other dragons. I would also like to open a bracket here and mention that there is a dragon mount found to the west of Rorikstead, as well as a shrine to Akatosh north of the village. Insignificant as these details may appear to be to our investigation, they will be briefly touched on later, as will the subject regarding the dragon god of time, which may be the only constant, vague as it is, in every theory we explore. Moving on, Amativ. Another interesting detail is that Sissel is a Nord, even if it is a little difficult to tell given that every single child in Skyrim looks exactly the same. Nords are not naturally apt at magic, their race much more inclined towards the art of the sword and shield and the axe, naturally, rather than the staff, which makes her abilities stand out even more. Nonetheless, they are descendant from the ancient Morans, who worshipped the dragons as gods. The men and women of Skyrim continued to view Dove as their chief deities until the Merethic era, when the Dragon War broke out. Furthermore, the dragon priests, who ruled in the name of their masters until then, were all given their powers and immortality, or rather their undeath abilities, by their Dovra, their dragon gods. If some of these priests had offspring, could they have passed their magical prowess and understanding of Dovazul, the dragon language, onto their children? Is it possible that Sissel is a descendant of a dragon priest, or perhaps even a septim? The issue with this particular speculation is that she is not an only child, and her twin sister does not appear to be displaying a similar skill set to hers, which minimizes the chances of it being true. Another possibility is that Paarthurnax himself visits her in her dreams, even if the chances of that occurring are slim. Nevertheless, it is definitely something he is surely capable of doing. Dove have natural affinity for magic and expanded arcane abilities. Dragons can actually sense great magical events from afar with extremely astute specificity. I happened upon a scroll written by a fellow researcher and adventurer who received knowledge on the topic from a first-hand source in the face of the Doba Nafalag, as well as from the book There Be Dragons written by Torghal Bjorek, who has at least one more work related to Dove. Here is what this fellow researcher says. They are known to be able to sense the accumulation of magic even across large distances, and can even sense specific characteristics about the source of the magic itself. Traits such as the power belonging to another dragon and that dragon's disposition, the age of the one the magic comes from, and even whether they are suffering from some illness, are all things a dragon's senses can perceive. But if Nax, this is my nickname for him, yes I'm aware it means cruelty, but it sounds nice so I will not be taking any criticism, is indeed sending Sissel dreams, I highly doubt that he or the Greybeards wouldn't have mentioned it to us. Furthermore, if Paarthurnax wanted to communicate with others through dreams, because it is highly likely that he can, it would be logical for him to visit us in hours when we, the player character, go to sleep. So why doesn't he— oh, silly me, this isn't Morrowind.
What a grand and intoxicating innocence.
And how come Alduin or any of the other surviving and resurrected dragons haven't expressed an interest in her, if we take this information into consideration? Their priests are awakening with the World Eater's return, and it would make sense for them to seek her out and indoctrinate her into the cult they are attempting to rebuild to its former glory. But back to Paarthurnax possibly sending her dreams. What reason would he have to do that other than her being a possible Dragonborn or perhaps the future disciple of the Way of the Voice? Does he perhaps wish to warn her of the Daedric presence in Rorikstead, given that he can sense it? But if that were the case, wouldn't she have alluded to knowing something odd was happening with the village in her dialogue? Something that ties into this theory is another one I came across while researching Sissel's unusual abilities. A fellow adventurer proposes that Paarthurnax is indeed deliberately sending her dreams in order to save her from Rorikstead, simply because he likes mortals and wishes to help them, but I find that to be highly unlikely. If this was the case, Nax would have been sending visions left and right, from Windhelm, where a serial killer is on the loose, to Markarth, where a woman could get murdered in broad daylight if the last Dragonborn does not intervene. Another possibility is that she is a possible future Greybeard, which would explain Nax visiting her in her dreams, as I briefly mentioned before. Arngir, Bori, Einrath, and Wolfgar are rather old, and despite being extremely powerful and likely having an extended lifespan because of their unique abilities, they are not immortal. Maybe the Grand Master of the Greybeards is already thinking about the future of this elusive order by searching for potential recruits to teach the Way of the Voice to? Now, Sissel can certainly not grow a beard, not without magic anyway, but I doubt that this is that big of a deal. Not everyone from the original tongues had a beard after all. Once again, however, neither Paarthurnax nor Arngir so much as hint at such an agenda, let alone at Sissel being a potential student of the Way of the Voice. Other than what I mentioned thus far, Nax would have no reason to try and reach out to a little girl in an enigmatic village with a dark secret. And the last theory I have seen floating about is that Sissel is a seer, an oracle. The gift of the sight, which can also be referred to as scrying and divination, is a rather rare ability which allows individuals blessed or cursed, depending on the viewpoint, with it to visions and prophecy. Oracles are capable of seeing into potential futures, traveling into different realms, revealing secrets, uncovering lost locations, and, interestingly enough, communicating at a distance. Examples of individuals gifted with the sight are Alessia, the Slave Queen, Uriel Septim VII, Sotha Sil, Ruriel Falkreed, and of course this man from the Knights of the Nine DLC in Anvil. The wise women of the Ashlander tribes are also believed to be farseers, whose visions the Ashgans, the leaders of the tribes, heed and obey. Uriel Septim tells the future hero of Kvatch that he saw him or her in his dreams, much like Sissel has seen Paarthurnax in hers. This does propose the possibility of Sissel herself reaching out to communicate with Nax through dreams. Nonetheless, I do not deem this plausible. While I am in no way an expert in the sight, I do believe that in order to utilize the ability to communicate through dreams with someone, first one would have to be aware of the recipient's existence. Furthermore, if Sissel was indeed a seer, she would have likely, once more, informed us of seeing or sensing something other than Paarthurnax, such as Alduin attacking Helgen, for example, or even us being the last known Dragonborn. And of course, that there is something odd happening in Rorikstead. The only reoccurring pattern here is a possible interference by Akatosh himself. Albeit rarely, I have also heard speculations that the dragon in Sissel's dreams is not Paarthurnax, but rather his father. The reason I do not believe this is Akatosh is not depicted as old and grey. Being the dragon god of time, he is ageless, much like his children for one. And if we're talking colors, his scale, scare, and beard are most likely golden as opposed to graying. Nonetheless, it is possible he may have some involvement here directly or indirectly. If Sissel is Dragonborn, she possesses the soul of a Dova, therefore she is connected to the chief of the divines. If Paarthurnax is sending her dreams for whatever reason, he is a son of Akatosh, perhaps even one of his first children, considering he is the only one who is, rather directly referred to as Alduin's younger brother and as ancient. If she is a seer out of all possible gods that could have gifted her with the sight, the assumption that it was Akatosh's doing is the most plausible, given that she is dreaming of one specific dragon, the one who thought mortals Dovazul, and by extension the Thu'um. While Nax did so under the insistence of Kinnereth, I believe there is more evidence pointing at Akatosh being involved with this situation, if any divine is involved at all, given our previous discussions. After all, there is a shrine dedicated to him north of Rorikstead, and some genius blade decided that burying a dragon directly west of the village was an incredible idea. But jokes aside, if the dragon god of time himself is intervening, why is he doing it? Is Sissel a possible plan B if something were to happen to the last Dragonborn? But if the Dovahkiin is the prophesied hero of Skyrim, why need a plan B at all? Nonetheless, in the words of both Paarthurnax and Angier, prophecies are fickle things. They state what could be, not necessarily what should be. So could Sissel be a potential Dragonborn? One that would be able to replace the last Dragonborn, or in this case the last known Dovahkiin, if he or she meets an untimely demise? Unfortunately, this is a question that I find myself unable to answer. Dragonborn, a seer or a potential future master of the Way of the Voice, Sissel is special. In what way exactly is up to us to decide, for we can offer thousands of speculations, but unfortunately we cannot get any concrete answers. Everyone who has traveled the lands of Skyrim is well aware that there is something extremely strange occurring in Rorikstead, and all of us Dragonborn have run into this magically gifted young girl who has visions of her favorite mentor and dear friend Paarthurnax. Yet we can do nothing beyond ridding the world of her father and adopting her. And even then, she offers no insight to her strange and oddly specific visions. We cannot train her in the arcane arts or find a suitable tutor for her if we ourselves are not mages. We cannot breach the subject of her having dreams about Paarthurnax, and we cannot bring her to him or to the Greybeards. All we can do is theorize and explore different possibilities without expecting any of them to be confirmed. And on that unclear note, my research comes to an end. Which of these theories do you believe to be the most plausible? Or perhaps you have your own to share? If you do, please do not hesitate to tell me of your thoughts and speculations regarding Sissel. I myself like to believe she is in fact a secret Dragonborn, especially given the fact that we can adopt her if we kill her despicable father, the last known Dovahkiin taking the unsuspecting actual last Dovahkiin under his or her wing. It makes for quite an interesting little family. In any case, I do hope you enjoyed spending time with me in my study, and I would be thrilled to receive you here again. But until then, Lok Thu'um. May your sword be sharp, and your tongue sharper.